Hello everyone, Tina here. Today is something a little bit different because SEGA Europe has sent me a review code for SEGA Ages Puyo Puyo, so let's take a look. So if you're already familiar with SEGA Ages or similar releases from Sega and M2, you might already know what to expect, but for those who don't, think of this as basically a perfect recreation of the original 1991 Puyo Puyo arcade game with a few nice extras here and there. Let's watch the intro first. And for those who may not be familiar with Puyo Puyo, you might actually recognize this game as Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine, Kirby's Avalanche. So let's take a look at these options, shall we? We have the original arcade mode. There's an online mode on this, which is pretty cool. And you have both the international and Japanese versions. And the interesting thing about this is that the international version, for the longest time, a lot of people didn't think it was actually officially released by Sega. So this is actually the first time we've seen this game officially released in English, not as Mean Bean Machine, not as Kirby's Ghost Trap, just plain old Puyo Puyo. And you get the usual assortment of options. Anyway, let us begin. So, okay, what is Puyo Puyo? How do you play Puyo Puyo? Basically, you match 4 of the same color of these blobs, or Puyos, together to form chains, like so. And the bigger chain you create, the more nuisance blocks, nuisance Puyo, also known as garbage Puyo, that you send to your opponent. And it basically becomes this sort of push and pull. Later games would refine the formula, like the second game, Puyo Puyo 2, which is also coming to SEGA Ages at a later date, introduced a counter system called offsetting, which allows you to actually counter large combos with combos of your own. Whereas in this first game, it can be a bit broken sometimes. It basically becomes a race to who can get the biggest combo first. Speaking of which, let's set one off right now. My chain forms aren't the best. I'm not exactly a pro player or anything, but I enjoy the series a lot. I enjoy the characters a lot. I like to collect the games. And I'm also just a huge fan of M2's work with preserving these games. And what's interesting about Puyo Puyo, the arcade version of Puyo Puyo, is that it actually does have an obscure English release, which is the version I'm playing right now. But for the longest time, people wasn't even sure if it even actually got a official release from Sega. In the main database, it's actually listed as a bootleg title. But the general understanding was that this got a very limited release in some parts of Europe. And in localizing this game, they made a few changes. Several characters were renamed. Al is Sylvana, Satan is now Dark Prince, which you may recognize from some of the more recent Puyo games. And before SEGA Ages, the only proof we had that this was an official release from Sega was that the Game Gear version, also only released in Japan, featured an unused English translation on the cartridge, amusingly called not Puyo Puyo, not Mean Bean Machine, but Puzzlo Kids. And that version also has the same names used in this arcade version of the game. But now, this is the first time the English arcade version has been officially released, and now we can enjoy it in all its majesty. Oh no! I'm trying to offset, but you can't do that in Puyo 1. Oh no! Oh yeah, one option I forgot to show off is that one improvement that later games, and I'm not talking about offsetting, but you couldn't actually rotate in both directions. So if you look at the options menu here, we have rotate left and quick turn on or off. Because this version implements those changes from Puyo Puyo 2. Quick turn refers to the rotation behavior, which worked a little bit differently in the first game as well. And yes, like I said, I think I said this already, but Puyo Puyo 2 is also coming. I don't believe it's out in Japan yet. There was quite a significant delay between this being released in Japan and finally being released in the West, as tends to be the case with Puyo Puyo games. Still waiting on Puyo Puyo Chronicles. Sega, you know what to do. What am I doing? Puyo Puyo Chronicles is, of course, never happening, but one can dream. Give me some more purples, I need perp. I don't need perp at all. In fact, I've kind of screwed myself here. Oh, I can salvage this. By not being terrible. Oh yes! Ready? The English voices in this are interesting, I guess. So this may seem like such a nothing release, and really, the first Puyo game isn't the best. But Puyo Puyo is a pretty huge phenomenon in Japan. It's been running getting new games fairly frequently all this time. It's just that we didn't really get any of them in the West. But that seems to be slowly changing, and I could not be more grateful for that. Anyway, this is probably just gonna devolve down to watching me play Puyo Puyo badly for an hour if I don't stop now. So there's nothing more to this really, it is just the arcade version. Let's see if we can find an online match. It's really cool of them to include online play. I don't know how much people are actually going to play this when Puyo Puyo Tetris and Puyo Puyo Champions are much better Puyo games. But it's always cool to have features like this. Anyway, I don't have much more to show you. That's SEGA Ages Puyo Puyo. It's coming out later this week. That's it for now. If you want to support my channel and other creative endeavors, you can support me on Patreon or use the Epic Games creator code sheepytina. Or you can simply like, subscribe, share this video with your friends, or check out some of the other great videos on my channel. Thank you to everyone for watching. See you later.